Lucas?
You got me there.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay, I got you too. Hey, man, yeah, sorry I had some difficulties there for a second. It doesn't work very well if you don't put a card to save on into the little gizmo. It's got nothing to save it to, so it doesn't work. So what's up, man?
Oh, man, not much. I actually just got in from a pretty sweet evening hunt.
Oh, man. It feels like I was working out in the garage, and it feels like when I was out there, it got hotter out.
Yeah, it was definitely warmer today. But seems like everything's pretty much kind of started in motion. And heck, I've been having some pretty good hunts here in October.
Yeah, I know. That's what kind of my trail cameras are saying too. So I'm getting a lot of like scrape activity on my cameras lately. A lot of it at night and a lot of it maybe right after sunup or right before sundown, I guess. Normal times, but nothing like middle of the day yet or anything. So you're tagged out in Tennessee now, right?
Yeah, I am. That's right, man.
Man, so what days did you kill your 2 bucks?
Oh, I'd have to get on there and look. So the velvet buck I killed the last evening that Sunday of the velvet hunt.
Okay, so in August.
And then I killed a buck here. Let's see. I'd have to go back and look. It's been a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
When I killed that 9 point, and that was a cold front. That was actually the first cold front of the year for here.
Yeah, you've been crushing that velvet hunt though, because you killed one on the velvet hunt last year, didn't you?
Yeah. I found the velvet hunt to be a great time to kill one.
Yeah, obviously. Did you kill one the year before too?
Yep.
Man, so you're on a roll. You got the velvet hunt dialed in.
Man, it's just one of them spots. It's where they live that time of the year, and I've just figured out where they like to come through. And long as the wind dried, I mean, you just go in there and put your time in. And it's last 3 years, it's been dead on.
And those are weren't in the morning you killed those bucks early season?
I killed this year. I actually killed mine in the evening, but the last two's been in the mornings.
Okay, yeah. So that's pretty unusual. So you're just in their bedding area. So when you set up for the wind, are you expecting them to kind of J-hook in, or are you just getting the downwind side of where you think they're bedding and looking for a trail cover or something?
I'm just getting on the downwind side of where they're bedding. But I'm more so like on their trail where they're crossing a ridge and they're going down to a water source.
Okay. You think they're hitting the water source before they go back to bed, or they're doing that right before?
I think they're hitting it in the morning times. I think I'm catching them on their way back from it.
Oh, I got you.
And then that evening, they were definitely going toward it.
You know, I got a friend, Derek, too, who he's been sending me trail camera pictures the last couple of years of he hunts this soybean field, and it has a big water source in the middle of it. And he always gets like the biggest bucks going to that thing, like in the middle of the daylight. And, I had always heard that deer get most of their water intake from things that they eat and stuff. So I never really gave much attention to kind of like water sources as kind of like a target location. Yeah,
I mean, there's a ton of browse on that ridge, like right on the edge of their bedding area.
Mm-hmm.
So they're definitely milling through. But that trail that they got, that's the trail. Early season, that's the buck trail, and I'm probably within, I don't know, 150 yards or closer to where they're bedding at.
So they got everything they need right there. Then they could spend a whole day. They got food, water, and covered all right there.
Yep, they're back at the very end of a secluded ridge. There's no hunting pressure right there where they're at.
Mm-hmm.
And man, it took took me a few years to learn, that pattern for sure, but it's been consistent ever since that I kind of figured it out. So,
well, that's what kind of sucks about hunting public. I've gone back to, I don't have any leases this year or anything. And the leases I only had for 1 year. So I didn't really get to figure them out that well.
I got you.
But like, it seems like once you get the deer figured out, it seems like everybody else also figures that's out. That's a good area. And then you get so much pressure and then kind of goes in cycles. Like then that area's crap and you got to let it die down. And then like a few years, maybe it'll come back to being a good area again.
Yeah. And there's coming a day when I'm not going to be able to hunt that farm anymore.
Mm-hmm.
The old man that owns it, I've tried leasing it. I've tried, and another buddy's offered to buy it from me. If it would work out, it'd probably be a high dollar little farm there, but it's about 170 acres.
Yeah.
But he's hell bent on. I mean, he won't even let us. If we planted some food plots this year, is the first time we've ever done it. But he's the type, he won't even let you spray Roundup to kill off. Like he wants you to plow the ground, disc it up, the old fashioned way.
Mm-hmm. He's got turkeys on the farm too?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's one of my main turkey hunting spots.
Man, that's gonna be a big hit when you lose that.
Yeah, I absolutely love that farm, but like I say, I know there'll come a day when it'll be over.
So this last buck that you just killed a couple weeks ago now, what was the story on that one?
All right, so that farm has two different sides, and then there's a road that splits one side from the other. And I've got another buddy that I let hunt in there with me. So the way we've been doing it is I hunt one side of the road and he hunts the other type deal.
Okay.
And after I killed the velvet buck, I done told him, I was like, this is the only deer. And I probably had a good bachelor group of about 10 bucks in there. And the one I killed was the most mature. I had him at 5-year-old. And he was, that farm's notorious for the 8-point gene.
Yeah.
But after I killed him, I told my buddy, I said, man, because I knew he had more shooters on his side of the road this year. Mm-hmm. And I said, I hate to do it to you, buddy, but I said, I'm coming over, after the velvet hunt. And there really wasn't nothing he could say about it because he's kind of getting the hunt there from me,
Right.
He killed a velvet buck opening morning on the velvet hunt on the other side of the road. So we both got one. Everybody's happy. So we had 3 deer left on that side of the farm that we were going to target. The one I killed, and we still got 2 more that's in there.
Right.
And we came up with an idea. It was like, man, there's 2 little spots on a couple of those ridges that's kind of growed up, and we got in there with a disc on a 4-wheeler, and we broke the ground, we cleaned it all off, and right before the hurricane, all the rain and stuff from the hurricane, we went ahead and threw out a bunch of seed and tried to plant a food plot.
Yeah.
And
what were you planting?
We planted. I had a bunch of grass seed left from my house where I'd built a shop, and I'd sowed some grass out, around the shop when we got it done.
Mm-hmm.
So I threw some of that out. I threw a bunch of winter wheat, which is pretty much the easiest thing you can get to come up,
Yeah.
And then we both had a bag of like throw and grow type, mm-hmm. just a mirage of stuff that was in there. Had some oats in it and clover, and we just threw a hodgepodge out there and hope for the best.
Yep.
And we got some rain before the hurricanes. I don't know if you remember. But anyway, everything came up good. We didn't use no fertilizer or anything. We basically we cleaned everything off, dished it up, and seeded it. So, anyways, I had a camera, cell cam back there, and one end of this food plot, it kind of pinches down, and there's a deer trail where they naturally was coming through there before we planted the food plot. And I started getting that deer that I killed. I started getting him on camera coming. There's a bedding area back kind of at the end of that ridge, and that trail that I put the camera on pretty much led out of the bedding area to the food plot. And I kept getting him on camera. I got him a lot at night, and I just was being patient, and I decided to go in there and hunt. Before I got him in daylight, I decided to go in there and hunt one time. And I went in there in the morning, and I absolutely blew all kinds of deer out of there.
Yeah.
And I just turned around and went back to my truck.
Isn't that an awful feeling?
Man, it just makes you so mad.
I know.
Because good and well that he heard that.
Right. Yep.
And you're either going to run him out of there. You're definitely going to pressure him, But you could potentially run that sucker plumb out of there. All the deer seem to be different, a little different personality, but he didn't run out of there for sure. I don't know if he was one of the ones that was blowing or what, but fast forward to that cold front, which probably would have been a week after or so that I went in there and blew them all out.
Mm-hmm.
I was at work. I'm trying to remember what day I shot that deer on, because there's a whole fiasco of a story that happened with that deer. But it was I think it was Tuesday afternoon is when I shot the deer. So I went to work. I had to work Tuesday. And I get a dang picture that morning, like 8 o'clock, and he's daylighted for the first time. And I'm sitting, I'm a train conductor, so I'm sitting there switching cars all day, and that's all I can think about.
Yeah.
And I told them guys at work, I was like, man, I have got to get out of here today, at a decent time, because I'm going back there to try to kill that deer. I was like, I know today's the day. If I'm gonna kill him, and I want the best odds, because when he come through the food plot, he was going to bed, and I knew he was right there. And I was like, he's gonna come right back out of that bedding area, and he's gonna come right through this food plot this afternoon. And I got home, I got all my stuff on, and I hauled butt over there. It's about a 40-minute drive from my house to get over there. And when I was walking in, I'd raked me out a trail around the side of this food plot in the woods to where I could, kind of sneak in there.
Mm-hmm.
And when I cleared all that stuff out of there, I laid all that stuff kind of to use as, to block me as an entrance, more or less. So I'd done all that stuff and, tried to get everything as perfect as possible for me to slip in there. And there was a spike in the food plot as I was trying to sneak in. And I got to about 50 yards of my tree, and the spike finally seen me, and he blew and took off running right back to the bedding area.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, man, I just blew it. I just blew my chance again, because I knew he was in there. So I was like, I'm going to go ahead and get up the tree anyway.
Right, yeah.
So I get on up to my tree, and the spike had just kind of ran out of the food plot over there where I couldn't see him, and he stopped. Well, he sees me again when I'm trying to get climbed up a tree and he just starts blowing to town,
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, man. So I think I even said it on the video because I videoed the hunt.
Oh, really?
Yeah. When I got up in the tree, I think I remember telling everybody that, I'm probably not going to see him or see anything at this point, but got settled in. It was almost 5 o'clock by the time I got settled in. And about 5:30, I had this 6-point come up out of the edge back there. And that was the deer that he normally ran with. So he comes in the food plot. There's some white oak trees, around the edge. So
right.
He was eating on acorns over the food plot, really, but he's out there probably, I don't know, 15 minutes. I was videoing him and everything, and then he just turns around to walk off to leave the way he came. And I was kind of confused because they normally, come through the food plot and feed out
right.
to there's a kind of a big pasture back there behind me. Well, he walks over to the edge of the woods and he stopped. Once he got into the woods, he stopped. And all I could see was like his back legs. And I pulled my binoculars up and it looks like he's over there rubbing a tree and trying to make a scrape. So I kind of had to refocus my binoculars. And when I get them cleared up, like he's got his head intertwined with that buck I'm trying to kill.
Oh, really?
So they start like sparring around or whatever.
Yeah.
And it goes on for probably 3 or 4 minutes.
Did you get it on?
And I'm trying to get her. I didn't get that on film.
Okay.
I've got a love-hate relationship with this camera that I'm using.
Okay. What camera is it?
It's I think it's called a Luminex.
Okay.
It's a DSLR camera.
Oh, I got you.
And I'm borrowing it from a buddy of mine, and I'm not used to using one of those. But the record button on it, it's real easy to like double tap it.
Oh, I see.
And you think you're recording or whatever, and you're actually not. But anyways, the deer, both of them turn around and come back out into the food plot. So I get my bow and I arrange him and everything, trying to get my sight fixed, and I get the camera around there. And well, then I hit record. So like when I hit record, I'm already like on the buck,
Right.
And I get ready to draw back. Well, my camera just falls over, like from the head or whatever. It was too loose, and the weight of the camera just falls straight over.
Oh my God.
So I start freaking out. I get the camera back up, try to get back on him.
How far out is he at this point?
Huh?
How far out is he at this point when your camera's doing all that craziness?
He's like 38 yards.
Okay.
And he's just standing there like a statue. And I start drawing back, and it freaking it falls over again.
Oh my Lord.
So 2 times this happens, and I just got to the point where I was about to just say, forget the camera or whatever.
Yeah. It's your camera arm? Was that the problem?
No, it's the actual, like, where the camera attaches to the head.
Okay.
It's got like a little tilt pan adjustment right there. I just had it too loose.
Yeah.
So to where I had the camera when it was on the deer, it was kind of angled down, and the weight just pulled it on over both times. But
I got you.
I finally got everything right, and I draw back and shot. And in the video, I thought I hit him. I knew I hit him back, but I still thought I hit him like good, like liver or something.
Right. Yeah. What kind of broadhead are
And
you using?
I shoot a G5 dead meat.
And that's an expandable.
It's a mechanical. It's
Gotcha.
3-blade,
Okay.
1.5 inch, I think is what it is on the cut.
Mm-hmm.
But he wheels around and, it sounded good. It sounded like I busted his diaphragm whenever it hit him. It made that, that sound you want to hear.
Gotcha.
And I knew the up and down was perfect. But I got to looking after I replayed it and was watching the camera. And when I seen where the arrow went in, like my heart just sank because it pretty much went in right in front of his hind quarter. Right, I mean, far back in the stomach as you could have shot one.
Oh, Jesus.
And I got aggravated instantly. I just went ahead and got all my stuff and left because I knew I wasn't even going to attempt to look for him anytime soon.
Well, at least that's smart, though.
And I got back home, went over to my buddies, and we pulled it up on the computer. And what happened is right before my arrow flight was going perfect. Just, right behind the shoulder, looked like it was going double lung him. And there was a little limb right there about the size of my pinky. And my arrow hit that limb and it kicked it back. I'm lucky that I even hit the deer and much less got a pass through. But right before it gets to the deer, you can see that limb break in half and fall. And my arrow just, shanks right to the right.
Yeah.
So.
So at that point, though, when you saw the shot, like you have to be angry but like when you see the arrow go through and you got passed through and that you have that big expandable going through probably guts or stuff, like, did you feel like you knew the deer was dead though? Like it was just going to be a matter of time and being able to find him?
Yeah, I've got a good friend that's a dog tracker, and he's always told me, man, if you hit one in the guts, we can find the deer. He said most people think shooting one in the guts is the worst thing you can do, but if you're going to use a dog, the success rate, according to him, from a gut shot deer is much higher than like a one lung hit or something.
Oh yeah, I guess there's an extra stench to it, huh, or something.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the deal is, but I don't know. Something they can maybe smell it better. I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, I called him and I told him about everything, and he said, "Go back over there, look for blood. If you can't find the deer within 200 yards or whatever," he said, "just back out and we'll bring the dog over the next day." So me and a couple buddies, we went back over there about midnight that night. So I shot him at like 5:45, and we got back over there, at midnight, and we got on blood and found my arrow, and it was, for sure gut shot. Had gut matter all over it, and had pretty good blood. Had a lot of dark blood, almost like you would find on a liver.
Yeah, you think you clipped the liver or something too?
I don't think I did.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I did at all, but we actually blood trailed the deer for about 200 yards off the hillside and up another hillside, and was following blood, perfectly fine in the leaves. And the deer makes it to this field that I was talking about, and it's like this real short green grass. And once he got there, like there was we couldn't find any more blood once he made it to the field. So we left. We got home about 3:00 that morning. I had to be at work at 7. So I go into work. Of course, I'm just, disgusted at this point. And called my buddy again with the dog, and he said, we'll come back out there about 5 or 6 the next day, and we'll start tracking or whatever. So, and that dog's actually found a deer for me that I had shot on one of the velvet hunts. And he's a real good dog. His name's Hank.
Okay.
So we get back in there where we lost blood. He makes a few passes out there in the field, and he gets on the trail, and here we go. Make it all the way across the field and come into the woods again, and look down, and sure enough, we're back on a blood trail. But we tracked this deer till about 9 o'clock, almost a little over a mile and a half before we found that deer. And when we got to him,
you said a mile and a half?
Stood up. Yeah, a mile and a half. And when we got to him, he stood up. He was still alive.
And this is how many hours later? If you had to estimate?
This is about 27 hours.
27
after the
hours.
Shot. And it was all the deer could do to stand up. I mean, he was in bad shape, and luckily I was able to go there and finish him off. But man, I felt bad. I felt bad for the deer just because the shot, you know.
Yeah.
And I mean, in a way, wasn't necessarily my fault, but I didn't see the limb, you know.
Yeah.
And it was a tiny limb that done that.
I know.
It wasn't like I was shooting through a dang tree or something.
Yeah. It makes you feel bad, though. I did that to a buck last year. I spined a buck and then had to take a couple more shots from the tree stand right there. But, like, it's not instant, you know. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, though. I don't like to see him suffer.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely don't like to see him suffer. But I'd have never found that deer if it hadn't been for that dog.
So does your buddy, the dog's name Hank, right?
Yep.
Does he do that for money, or does he just do that as a hobby for you? Like, can people hire him if they hear this?
Yeah. He's got a tracking service. It's called Miller's Tracking Service.
Miller's Tracking Service?
Yep.
Okay.
Justin Miller is his name.
Okay. And he's down in the Columbia, Tennessee area?
He actually lives around Linden, Tennessee.
Okay. So if anybody's
and he's traveled all over. He's went to Illinois before and found deer for people.
Yeah. He might be interesting to talk to one day. Maybe we could do a 3-way call with him or something.
Oh yeah,
I
man.
bet he's got some stories.
He's an exceptional hunter himself.
Mm-hmm.
He kills good deer and kills turkeys every year. He's a big bow hunter and a real good guy at the same time.
So when you killed that deer and you found it a mile and a half later, to get it back to the truck, did you have to drive it a mile and a half, or were you able to like get something out there to get it?
No, so the deer crossed the property line about halfway through the track, and I had to get permission from the landowner to go down there.
Well, thank God he did. You know, that would suck.
Yeah, man.
Was he cool about it?
I know. Yeah, he was cool about it.
That's cool.
He was cool about it, and the way that deer ran, he ran off this huge, kind of like a bluff, and down into this bottom, and that's where he died at. And I was able to go back to the truck and drive all the way down there and get the deer from their property. So
when you opened them up, did it stink? Did you puncture that gut cavity and stuff?
Yeah. Yeah, it was 100%, and I shot the deer through the intestines.
That's rough.
I didn't hit any vital organs whatsoever.
So I always hear that gutshot deer will go to water. Was he next to water?
He went to water. What we think he done is jumped in a pond and swam across it.
Yeah, just like the urban legends are just like what I hear from people that I don't know the validity of is that like it gives them like a fever, like they get hot.
Yeah, that dog, he went down to that pond like 3 different times from the track, and he just like once he got there, he didn't know where to go, and we were almost to the point of like giving up. And that guy, he's like, I'm gonna take this dog on the other side of this pond and just let him work over there a minute. And
see if he came out.
Yeah, just to see if he could pick back up, because the dog never did go over there. And once he done that, like it didn't take 5 minutes, man, and he found the deer.
Oh wow! So he went in the pond, got out of it, and then went and laid down.
Yep, he went. He was probably laying within 100 yards of that pond, but he wasn't in it.
Right. Yeah, but he had been in it probably, most likely.
He had been in it. Yeah.
That tracks though, because that makes sense. Because just like taking military, like first aid and stuff, I vaguely remember that if somebody's like shot in the guts or something like that, or they have some sort of abdominal injury that like they're going to be thirsty and they're going to want water and that you can't give it to them.
Yeah.
So I guess I don't know why it would be any different for deer. It's same kind of anatomy. Really.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
They're tough animals, man. I've never seen anything like that before.
Yeah, I mean, especially 27 hours later with a gut shot like that.
Yeah, I was glad to put my tag on him. He was a good deer. He was, I think he scored 133 and some change.
People are always throwing like 140s around, stuff like that. And I don't think that people sometimes know how to judge deer, because I look at that deer and to me, that's a big deer. I mean, that's a good looking deer. I think like 130, I think is a lot bigger than like people think it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, if you're a bow hunter and if you get to the point where you can let, 130s walk, then I mean, maybe I'll get there one day, but it's hard to do.
Yeah. I mean, I guess maybe if you got like private land that you can manage in like Iowa or Ohio or something like that, maybe then like that's where that come in. But like for Southern Tennessee, like a 130, that's a great deer,
I know, man. I've always heard you got to let a 130 walk to kill a 150, but just down here where, especially around in here, 130 to 140s, that's a good deer for around here.
Yeah. And, with Tennessee deer, I mean, they're not the big bodied, like Northern Illinois deer or something like that. Like sometimes a 130 is going to be a 130. You know what I mean? Like that, they're not going to get a whole lot bigger than that. You might get another 10, 15 inches on it, maybe, but that deer's not blowing up into a 190 like or something. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, if they're like an 8-point or, 9-point or whatever, I mean, that's cream of the crop around here, the way I see it. I've killed one of those velvet bucks I killed was 8-point, and he was 140 inch.
Right.
8-point. And that's the biggest 8-point I've ever killed.
Yeah. Which is a huge 8-point.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then, heck, I've killed a 152 and a quarter down here with a bow, but he was a 12-point,
Was he a typical 12-point?
He was a typical 10, and he had 2 kickers coming off his base.
Yeah.
Looked like pretty neat deer, but
I got a deer that he's got I actually call them kickers because he's got a bunch of kickers coming off, and it's kind of disappointing because he was probably a 4-year-old deer last year. So, and I never saw him in real life, but I started getting him on camera again this year. And I was excited because I kind of got him patterned from last year, his like core area that he likes during the rut, and he's already showing up. But I think that he's smaller. Like he didn't like blow up from like 4 to 5, you know, like he's either the same size or have gotten smaller. Which kind of surprised me because we had like such, you know, a wet spring with a lot of food and everything, and then a pretty good growing season, I felt like. But, you know, you never know. He could have got some sort of injury or like just is not doing that well health-wise or something, you know.
Right.
So what are your plans now? You said you were going out. You said you had an encounter with a mature buck the other night, but you're obviously out of tags.
Yeah, man, I had a heck of a hunt Monday, and I had another issue with my camera about not hitting the record button when I thought I had. But I had 2 mature deer in bow range Monday.
That's how it happens when you don't have a tag.
Yeah, it was. I like to go and at least know that I'm putting myself in position, you know, just trying to learn. And in this spot here, it was only the second time I'd hunted it, and I knew that those deer were in there. I hadn't really hunted it. I was trying to hold out on them till next year because there'll be some one of them's a real nice deer.
That's on some private you have permission on too?
Yeah.
Nice.
And me and my buddy went back in there today, and we got in there late, but we probably seen 30 deer. And we had two bucks, had one 9-point, had a split G3 and like a 7-point that came by us at about 20 yards, and we filmed them and everything. But it's a pretty sweet little place to hunt. I think it's going to be one of those, you know, it's going to be one of them spots where you can kill a big one.
That's great. That'd be awesome. Yeah, especially already being able to make plans for next year, you know, and like feeling confident that you've got a spot to go to that's going to be growing big deer.
Yeah. We got the juvenile this weekend. I'm going to take him. I've got a few 8 points on farm that we got here in this county that I'm going to try to let him kill one. And then other than that, just coming up there to hunt around where you're at. I'm taking off different periods in November.
When you coming up here?
I'll be up there around Veterans Day weekend for a few days. And then I'm taking off the 14th through the 18th.
Okay.
And I'll be up there then too.
Cool. Yeah, maybe we can link up, go to the same area or something.
Yeah, I hunted up there. I've already come up twice. Last Monday, I came up there and hunted all day, and I passed 8 different bucks.
Any good ones?
So I had biggest one, about 100-inch 8-point.
Yeah. Yeah, I if I have a 100-inch 8-point though, I still like pick my bow up. I'm like, I gotta like look at it, you know. I'm like, is that a good deer?
Yeah.
Does that just look small from up here?
I was on one, man. I was all over his sign. I really thought I would have seen something a little better than that because I know that ain't the deer that was making the sign that I was seeing. But you know how that place is, though. You get up there at the right time and you just be patient and you'll kill one.
Yeah, it can be magical there. I've only been able to go out like 6 times or something, and probably like 5 have been bad. I don't know. I'm just not into them yet this year. I'm getting good trail camera pictures, but they're at night, and I did feel better because I went out the other morning and sat kind of a doe bedding area that I had seen a big one come through, checking a scrape after sunup. So, I mean, he obviously knows that those does are there and he's just waiting for them to turn on. But I actually had all those does come in and none of them busted me. And it's so thick in there that they have to, it's like 8 of them and they got to come by at like about 5 yards. So I felt pretty good about that. And I watched every one of them go over to the scrape and, rub their head around the licking branch and stuff. So, So hopefully, time comes, I'll be able to I actually left, I have a few saddle setups. So I felt confident enough that area is thick enough that nobody's going to go in there on public. Cause it's not like your typical area where people would have like a good shooting lanes and stuff like that. Like the farthest you could shoot is like 10, 15 yards probably,
okay.
I left an extra platform I have and sticks up in there, so I can sneak in once.
Yeah, I don't blame you at all.
Once it turns on, especially with the hills up there. I mean, the hills will kill you. Get back in there.
It's I'm finding them right now for sure. Finding them on acorns.
Yeah, you're still seeing them on acorns.
Yeah, if you got acorns right now, like white oak acorns, just go sit at them. You'll see deer.
Well, that's the thing where I'm hunting is I've heard some people like they don't have many acorns this season, and where I'm hunting, there's acorns everywhere. Like you could roll down a hill on them.
Yeah, I've seen a bunch up there. When I come up there, there were a lot more than there are here.
I'm starting to finally find scrapes now, like pretty good scrapes for sign. And I've seen like 2 rubs. I feel like usually by now I see a lot of rubs, and I haven't seen them start rubbing yet.
I've seen more rubs up there than I have down here, but I've seen more scrapes down here than I have up there.
Yeah, it could be something to do with like deer density and stuff like that. Kind of like where we're going. Okay, man. Well, hit me up when you're coming up here. Let me know about the area you're gonna try to go to, and like maybe we can figure something out, and maybe make some kind of like team plan up or something like that.
Yeah, that sounds good, man.
Okay, I'll catch you later, and I can't wait to see you in November. I can't wait for things to like really get turned on. I mean, you're killing them before things are even hot, so you're gonna have to start buying more tags, I guess, for different states.
I know, man. That's the only disadvantage of doing it like that is you could potentially miss out on something real good, when the rut comes.
Yeah, I always worry about that myself because since I'm in Kentucky, I'm always like, if something decent walks by like September, I'm like, man, that's it though. That's like, that's my $1 for right here.
I know, one and done.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on and taking time.
Yeah, man. Good luck to you, and I'll let you know when I'm headed up that way.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks, Lucas.
All right, see you, man.
Bye.